So I had the idea to do this Big Brother Chris portion of my channel just because I get asked a lot of the same questions on Tumblr, and I guess maybe people don't always have access to like finding those FAQs like really easily, or like maybe they just want like me to answer it in a different way. So I just want to address some of these things that I get, and maybe I can like help give some advice in a way that like maybe you would seek out an older brother or your dad to like tell you like what's urinal etiquette, or like how should I position my prosthetic, or like how do I shave, those sort of things. Like maybe you don't have someone to turn to, so I'm going to try to address some of these topics. So a question that I do get asked a lot is maybe for some advice about how to pick a name. A lot of people kind of struggle with this. I mean, yeah, we've maybe named a dog or a cat, or, you know, thought up possible baby names, but how do you go about naming yourself? I mean, your parents did that for you. So there's a bunch of things that I recommend when you're going through this name picking process. One option is if you want to give your parents the control of this situation. I do know some people who let their parents pick out their name for them, or even just discuss with them the name you're picking. Sometimes if you have a really close relationship with your parents, that's a good way to make them still feel involved. Besides that, I usually recommend like going through names that you like, whether it's from people that you know, acquaintances, names you've just heard out in public, like in the supermarket, or names you like from characters on TV or movies or books, or go to like a baby name website and look through all the names and just write down ones that just really resonate with you. On top of that, I always recommend going to like a baby name site and going into the year you were born, so you can kind of see what names were popular that year and the gender that you're picking a name for, and then that way your name might not stand out as much if that's something that you're concerned about. Obviously it doesn't really matter, anyone can be named anything at any point in time, but that's always a kind of a good way to maybe good place to start looking at names from the year you were born. After that, I usually recommend writing all the names down, seeing how it feels, writing them, signing them, how it like looks pen on paper. It's a good way to see what you think about that name, how it looks, does it look like it would fit you. Also, I recommend just speaking it out loud a lot.
Hi guys, it's Chris. Hi guys, it's Chris.
Hi y'all, my name is Chris. Hi guys, it's Chris. Alright, hi y'all, my name is Chris. Hi y'all, it's Chris. Talking to the mirror, maybe each time you go to Starbucks giving a different name to the barista and seeing which one kind of piques your interest a little more when they say it out loud. I know the first time I ever heard someone call out Chris from the coffee counter, it was just a moment of like, oh yeah, like that's totally the name that I want. Or another starting point for picking a name, you can always ask your parents what your name might have been, or like other names they were considering when they did name you, because maybe one of those names you'll end up liking. A lot of people want to really stray away from their birth name and the name they've always used, and then a lot of people want something very similar to their birth name. And I guess actually there's a third side. Some people choose to keep their name or a variation of their birth name, which is also a valid option. But either way, it just depends on how you feel, the relationship you have with your name, the relationship you have with your past self. Personally, I wanted to keep something very similar to my birth name. I didn't hate my birth name, it just didn't really feel like my name necessarily. Also, I'm an identical twin, and so I wanted a C name, or at least a C sound, so that my name stayed like a good pairing with my twin sister's name. But if you go through names and as you're picking something for yourself, you might realize like you might love a name and love it for a month or a year even, and then decide it's not your name and choose something else. Many people go through different names, and this process can be hard. I mean, naming yourself is like a crazy important moment for a lot of people. So if you have to go through several names, that's not a problem. If you know your name from the minute you rename yourself, that's also not a problem. Everyone's process and everyone's path and everyone's like name choosing is totally different and totally valid. Personally, for me, I guess I knew my name from like the minute I knew I was going to rename myself, but I kind of resisted against it because I didn't think that Chris or Christopher was unique enough. I wanted something more interesting. My birth name, I didn't know that many people with my name, and I liked that. So I just kind of wanted something a little bit different, and even though I tried out a handful of other names, I just kept coming back to Chris. And it was kind of funny, like when I identified as a lesbian, and at the time, like specifically, I remember when I was in college working as like a tour guide, I was very masculine, butch lesbian, and I often got misgendered, and I say that in quotes because at the time I identified as a woman. So the kids would call me sir or mister or whatever, and my friends who I worked with would jokingly always call me Chris. So as like not to confuse the kids, and also just, I don't know, it was this running joke. So I guess just even from like an early on stage, even before I realized I was trans, there was this name that was in the back of my head because people sort of saw me as that. So that kind of made it easy when I was picking my name. There was a few other names that I toyed with. I think like the runner-up name before Chris was Blaine, even though that's not a C name. But my little brother has a name that starts with a B, so I kind of thought maybe that would seem feasible, that my parents would have named me that. But at the end of the day, it didn't really work out for me. So kind of like a funny story about my name, actually. So before, my birth name was a Kardashian name, and me and Courtney, we were Chloe and Courtney, so we were the Kardashians, and we always got shit for that whenever we'd introduce ourselves. And then I went and I picked another fucking Kardashian name, and it wasn't on purpose, but so it's always kind of funny, and Courtney gives me a lot of shit for that. I also think that some people really hide from their birth names, and some people will hate on you and try to bring it out and like use it against you. Personally, like I've never hidden my birth name. I'm all over social media all the time, so if you feel like creeping back 200 weeks on my Instagram, you'll see what my birth name is. So everyone who comes at me, that's my birth name, and I will tell you any story about how we used to be the Kardashians, and we still are. There's power in owning your names as they were and as they are. So I hope that any of you who are struggling with naming yourself maybe have like a little bit more of an idea of like where to start, or maybe I just gave you like a few options that you weren't thinking of to pick a name. Just, I don't know, like think about your favorite book and pull some of those characters' names out there and just find something that feels right for you. There's no reason to rush through it, but it's also just a really big thing for a person, so just kind of also like relish the fact that you get to name yourself. Not everybody gets to do that, so it's kind of a cool thing. Yeah, good luck picking a name if you're out there choosing one right now. I know it can be really, really scary, but you'll get it eventually. I didn't know if you were stopping from the last time. Okay.